What happens when you cross a McLaren Senna with a go-kart? Well, you get this, the McLaren Elva, and it is absolutely and utterly bonkers. And I've really wanted to have a go with this car for a long time now. And last week at Goodwood Speed Week, I was lucky enough to be able to jump in and have a passenger ride to experience what the Elva is like when driven in anger. And I'm going to show you what exactly went down. Right, so here I am at Goodwood. Full disclosure, I didn't actually drive the car. They had some young up-and-coming racing driver called Kenny Brack. Apparently won things like the Indy 500, a couple of other small trophies. I let him basically drive the car because you know, you got to let other people have a go sometimes, and it hasn't got to be the Rory show all the time. Lovely guy, by the way. Bit of a risk taker though, I noticed.
Oh, there's that 4 litre. I noticed you've switched off electronic stability control. It's more fun that way, isn't it?
Luckily, he's a man after my own heart. Clearly loves to have a bit of fun. And I'll tell you how the McLaren Elva feels at this point, by the way. We're pulling to the end of the pit lane, and the first thing you notice is how exposed you feel. You've got 800 horsepower behind you, and then you've got no windscreen in front of you, so you feel completely exposed. There's no protection in front of you from the elements. It feels a little bit like being on a super bike, in fact. So we wait for Kenny to pull away, and suddenly you get this rush of butterflies. And the second thing you notice is the outrageous speed. So the Elva will do 0 to 62 in 2 and a bit seconds. And because you got no windscreen, and I got my visor up at this point, and I immediately realized that was a mistake. This thing feels rapid.
And we need that visor down. Oh my God. Oh my God! Oh my God!
You can probably tell from the number of times that I suddenly become religious in this car that the Elva is properly quick, and Kenny Brack is on it. This thing is an absolute animal. You can tell from how busy he is. He's working flat out. There's so much correction. Obviously, he's busy trying to have fun. He's deliberately doing that, but the car is responding to even the smallest of inputs, and it's a real handful. If McLaren's aim with the Elva was to increase the amount of driver involvement, then they've nailed it with a giant mallet. This thing is, I mean, look at him. Look, is he involved? Yes, 100%. The next thing is the speed. You might not be able to see here, but the numbers on the dash are just climbing so quickly. And honestly, it's quite shocking how fast this car is. Even more shocking because you're so exposed. And speaking of exposed, right, here's a pretty vivid demonstration of just how exposed you are in the Elva. I remember this moment very vividly. We're coming down this particular stretch here, and I'll pause it now. Just in front of us is a grouse. That grouse is at head height, and Kenny actually has to hit the brake ever so slightly. In fact, he gets on the anchors pretty hard, carbon ceramics, and he manages to scrub off just enough speed to avoid the grouse hitting, not the car, because I think the car's low enough to have avoided it, but this thing is basically helmet height. So I think Kenny actually prevented quite a nasty accident there. Do you have to wear a helmet in the Elva? I remember asking McLaren at the start of the year, and they said, no, there's no requirement to actually wear a helmet. Would I recommend a helmet? Well, judge for yourself after seeing this footage. I mean, if you're on it and you encounter birds as stupid as grouse is grease, then I think you could be in with a bit of a problem here. I would definitely recommend at least wearing some kind of eyewear, if not a full face helmet. Okay, after the bird strike, there's something else I want to show you. This microphone, we've got a microphone connecting us, but there's so much turbulence in the cabin of the car that at one point, through this corner, the microphone actually becomes completely loose. And suddenly I can't hear what Kenny's saying. We had a voice link connection through the helmets. And from this point, because there's so much turbulence being generated in the cabin, this cable pops right out and suddenly no comms in the car whatsoever. Kenny's is still connected, but mine's gone. Right, we'll play this corner at full speed, dives into the apex, changes down from 4th to 3rd, oversteer again on the power, another moment of oversteer. He's oversteered 3 times into one corner. Let's back it up and try and work out exactly what's going on here. Don't forget, we've got quite a lot of grip here. We don't have an awful lot of downforce, as you might in the Senna, and we don't carry a lot of mass as we enter the corner. So if we watch it and we notice that he changes down from 4th to 3rd, gets that oversteer as he hits the apex, doesn't mind, gets back on the power again, he's keeping his foot in it, and it's snapping on him again. It snaps on him twice. And it's just such a lively car, and I suspect he's in total control, but I think if you're a novice with all the systems switched off, what you can expect is that the Elva is gonna be very, very taxing to drive. This thing looks and feels like an absolute animal, and Kenny's doing phenomenally well to keep it under control. Right, through the next couple of corners, it's the same story really. He's got 800 horsepower under his right foot. He tries to hit the apex, gets it right, but the car's snapping on him mid-corner, and the rear tires are just saying, no, no thanks, can't handle 800 horsepower with all that. Oh my God, it's just such a savage thing. And he just carries so much speed through the corners. It looks like a difficult car to drive. Right now he's stopping to try and figure out exactly what's happening to our comms. But then, yeah, there's nothing that can be done. I can't plug it back in, so. Okay, what Kenny's saying to me now is that we're gonna take an opportunity to try out the car's active air management system, AAMS. Basically, the Elva has a system that creates a virtual windscreen. Air flows through the front of the car and up through a vent in the bonnet, and then you have a separate spoiler which deflects that air over the top of the inhabitants and the cabin in order to create a virtual windscreen. So right now, it's not active, and we're feeling quite a lot of wind. You can see how much the microphone's moving around. So very windy car, as you can probably imagine. Now we're gonna pull over, and Kenny's gonna hit a button on the right-hand side of the steering wheel. There's me giving the A-OK to the cameraman. And as we pull up, you might see from the footage that the active air management system rises, and then off we go. Now I'll put my visor up at this point, and listen to this.
Now we have the air management system switched on. We're doing 90 miles an hour. I've got my visor open, and it's far less windy. 120 kph. And I feel like you could probably have a conversation at this kind of speed, apart from the wind coming in at the side. It's actually remarkably good. You don't need a visor at this kind of speed with the active air management system switched on. It's actually quite remarkable, isn't it? It does work. And now he's going to drop it.
Did you feel it?
Yeah.
Right, so the system works. And the next thing I want to show you is this car's raw performance. So in front of us, we get overtaken by this Ford GT. And this is a car with 670 horsepower. The Elva has more power and weighs considerably less. So the Ford GT can't get away. He's braking so much early through the corners. Kenny's actually having to back off because he can carry so much more speed. Look, he's nowhere near as busy as he was in the previous corners. He's just having a lot of fun now. He's just messing around. And as we get on the straight, he's closing on the Ford GT. And the most telling thing of all is in the braking zone, where the Ford brakes now, Kenny doesn't have to brake. He's chilled out. In fact, he's backed off because he's closing down a Ford GT. He's giving it space just so he can have a bit of fun with it. And as he closes through this final chicane, you might think that the Ford GT is actually doing a cool down lap. He's not, he's off. He's on it. And the Elva had no problem whatsoever keeping up. This thing is an absolute savage car. It is so quick through the corners, incredibly lively, and obviously with the added bonus of having this very, very clever air management system that makes this what I think is one of the most clever cars that we've seen in 2020. So that's the McLaren Elva. Amazing car. Something a bit different to the normal kind of video we bring you, but I wanted to share this experience with you to show you how this car can make you feel.
Oh my God. Yeah, hell yeah, it was good. And that was absolutely breathtaking. Wow. Dear Lord. Wow. So good. Stunning.
If you want to find out more about the ins and outs of the Elva, you can click this link just up here in the top right hand corner, and you can find out all the stats, the facts, the figures, and all the other intricacies around the Elva. But this was just about showing you how the car makes you feel, which is the priority for McLaren. This car is all about the experience, and from the experience that I had, I'd say, wow, what a thing. Fingers crossed I get to drive it at some point in the very near future, and we will bring you that video if it happens. But for now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll see you again soon. Peace.